My name is Maria, I'm 70 years old, I live in Brazil, and I am studying electronics at my institution. Since I was 14 years old, I have been a researcher of the area inclusive and assistive robotics.
My first group research was on robotics to help seniors, and with that project I participated in some national scientific events. Eventually, I was chosen to represent my country in important international scientific events, such as LISP at Imperial College in London. Although I have been developing a low-cost robot with free technology for teaching math, there are problems that I have encountered that have hindered my progress. These problems include available workshops for robotics and math in my city, seeing the physical world what happens to mathematical calculations that we learn at school, encouraging students to have a more participate life in scientific and technological circles, developing critical thinking skills and making the school environment more enjoyable and inclusive. I have always thought that education alone can change peoples, and I believe that my project would be able to have this impact. In the last edition of the program for International Student Assessment, which evaluates the methods that each participating country uses for the preparation and inclusion of young people in contemporary society, Brazil performed poorly, mainly in mathematics, placing 65th. Many of these people experience difficulty in the mathematics discipline because of their abstraction and also because of the lack of didactics they face in the classroom. The previously mentioned problems coupled with the segregation faced by many pupils, especially those from peripheral schools, which often due to the lack of recursos have been more drastic consequences. As for the law school performance, it's important to invest in artifacts that will help students by encouraging children participate actively with the school and science, regardless of social class, so that these problems can be resolved. The project is still under development. It started with the prototype projection, testing the components and the components that are used for a prototype design, an assembly that holds the code and the prototype compatible with the robot. After completing the construction of the prototype, a field survey was carried out at a peripheral school in our city to understand the difficulty faced by the mathematical learning method. Next, we started the software development to meet the students' difficulties. It was one of the main volunteer instruments in the area of mathematics and robotics to voluntarily enroll in the voluntary project, initiating a policy of social inclusion for students from poorer communities, awakening autonomy to scientific development and the critical sense, science, elementary school. In addition, it was thought of the accessibility materials for the construction of the prototype, which decreased its cost by approximately $30. The first school, we will run the robotics and mathematics workshops to teach students to build their own robot to understand what happens in the physical world of mathematical calculations, doesn't have a laboratory equipped and the donations of the materials needed for the construction of the prototype for all students to have each their own. The Village to Raise a Child program will greatly assist in publishing the work in the light of the events motivating people to help build a good lab for the school and donate the materials we need. If approved the project to participate in this program, all the knowledge received will be passed on to the students who will participate in the robotics and the mathematics workshops, so that these students are increasingly trained and prepared for a good inclusion in society and the labor market.